Hey YouTube, it's your Gossip Guru here with another episode of What's Your Beef? I have a guest today. This is,
Marco,
and he is going to talk about.
my beef, which is college sports. Um, I think that it is unfair to kids who like to play sports, but after high school have a hard time trying to find a way to play a sport because because most colleges have to, you have to be recruited into the sport, or there's intense tryouts where uh, hundreds upon kids show up, and only a certain amount of kids make the team, and it's not exactly really fair for other people to not be able to play these sports that sometimes kids play sports to be release stress or just to get away from schoolwork or something like that, and a lot kids sports can be a large part of kids' life, which can be it's not really hard to just give up something right off the bat. Um, it's not exactly because you pay for college too. If you're paying for college and the other kids paying for college, you should have equal benefits for that. Or at least instead of having to play like the top sport because it is highly competitive, maybe making a club or some sort of like lower level JV style kind of sport opportunity for them to play, so that they don't get left out of the because sports are fun. It's just it's not cool to be able to not be able to play after high school.
So, you like club sports because they're competitive, but in a friendlier way than traditional college
Yeah.
sports?
Well, yeah, in traditional college sports, it's extremely high level competition and skill level. I mean, it's understandable that it's the cream of the crop, the highest uh, performing players, but the having a club sport or something like that, allows other kids to play. Also, I mean, if you have a club sport in college and you have a regular college sport, maybe, and you can discover an undiscovered talent that have you missed while recruiting. So it can be even beneficial for the regular college sports too.
And club sports are more cost effective, you were saying.
Yeah, because they're they're very most of them are very expensive. Maybe because the only benefit they get from doing that is they have to pay all the coaches and the umpires or referees or whatever. But maybe somehow making it a way to be less cost effective. Making maybe the teams bigger so the cost goes down, or bringing more teams into the league and having it more of a pool could help out other kids because not everyone has $1,000 to drop on a sport, especially a college student who's paying loans and books and all that stuff.
But compared to traditional college sports, club sports are less expensive when it comes to equipment and everything, or in the long run do they end up being more expensive
Though they can,
because of the rarity?
well, with the rarity, I guess you could say it's probably closer to the same. But college sports they have top end gear for everything, the best hockey sticks, best baseball bats, top football. Uh, most kids at this point in their life have their own gear as well too. So maybe even saying like yeah, everyone has a glove, something like that. Everyone has their hockey stick, their hockey skates. So I guess for some of the sports like football, it'll be a little bit more costly, maybe closer to college sport because of all the padding and stuff like that. But for some other sports, you just really need a place to play. Yeah, maybe not sometimes even a couple coaches. Kids are very good at this age of forming their own team and picking a leader and stuff like that. Just make creating an opportunity for them to play is most of the is 3/4 of the battle.
Can you think of any specific examples from college where kids have gotten themselves into trouble? Specific examples of trouble where if they had been involved in something like a college sport, they may not have gotten into said trouble?
Well, if a sport create is a huge gap of time, in high school, you spend for your sport every day after school 2 hours, practicing. Then it's a little darker out. You go home, homework, eat. Usually, you got to go to bed at that point. If you're in college, especially since there's a lower number of classes, you have a lot more free time. You can go out and I guess more of an opportunity for kids to and get into more trouble and stuff like that. Even depending on like where you go to school, maybe having a place for them to actually go play a sport or something like that would be more like schools have like a gym or something, but having more of an organized thing would draw more of a crowd in, and then maybe even make it bigger so that a school could promotionalize it.
So do you think club sports would decrease the number of parties on college campuses, or do you think the groups that form in the club sports would party as much?
Maybe it would be they would spend less time. There's obviously still going to be a party here or there, but they would be like, okay, well, I really like to play. I really want to go play this game, and then I got a paper to write too, so tonight I got to stay in. Um, you know, Probably more socialized towards the weekend instead of kids going out every night because they have all this time to spend.
So you'd most want to play club baseball of all sports, or are there other sports that you'd want to get into?
Well, in high school I played football, basketball, and baseball. I mean, I like getting around, getting playing sports. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I would probably be interested in maybe playing basketball, something because you meet a lot of friends there too, and so it could it's a good way to socialize too a bit. Also, I mean it's a good way to go exercise and stuff like that because again it's a way to just escape more of like because you've got a lot of schoolwork, you're stressing out, maybe having the ability to be like, okay, this is awesome. If I get all my homework done, I can go down to the field and meet all my friends that I've made, and get to play some baseball or basketball or hockey, whatever your sport is.
Not to contradict what you're talking about, but do you think with some schools there is too much emphasis being put on traditional sports and not enough emphasis being put on academics?
There's definitely some all sports schools where like kids say I'm going to this school because I want to play football. I'm going to this school because if you're playing basketball and you're going to Duke, you're going to Duke to play basketball. You're not going to Duke because you want to learn. But that's a low number of schools. The NCAA, League One division, everything that you actually see on TV is very low number of schools that actually exist. So I would say there are more schools based on academics than there are based on sports, and the ones that based on sports still do draw in good academics because there are certain like NCAA rules, like kids have to keep a certain GPA to play on the team. You don't just get everything's free.
Well, we're on college reputations when it comes to sports. I'd be curious to know your feelings on Penn State, that scandal that came out a couple months ago.
Penn State is something I was very surprised about because they've had such a good reputation for being a good football school and just a good school. I mean, going to Penn State is no small feat, and it was very shocking. I have some friends who love to watch college sports, and they were very sad to hear that because especially and then even later off that, Joe Paterno dying, he was just a very big talked about person in college sports, and I guess leaving all the coaches leaving on that bad note, it was kind of sad to see because building up a good reputation is harder than ruining it with one thing.
How do you feel about all the trash talk on Joe Paterno's behalf? Do you feel like it was deserved and that he supposedly hid some things that he should have revealed, or do you think he took too much heat for the whole thing?
Well, he definitely clearly had some secrets in Adam, but I think that people were a little harsh, you know, uh, dealing with the way things went. And but I mean, I guess it kind of you know came about like once he died, there were still like huge monuments and large crowds going and supporting him when he was in the hospital and stuff like that, which was I thought was very nice. But I believe that the whole coaching staff as a whole, which was they were all involved, um, didn't get as much heat as Joe Paterno being like the head coach.
So would you say that some schools do, the ones that are greatly focused on sports, do worry too much about their reputation when it comes to stuff like that? Do you think there needs to be a limit placed on what's hidden? Or do
Um,
you understand why they hid what they hid?
well, there, well, yeah, well, some a coach maybe uh, hiding because there's like a scale, what some things secrets like the secret of that some things you can't really hide. It's not a very good secret to keep, but like maybe you've got a kid on the team that's struggling with his college payments, so you somehow try to get the school and help his financing out, to help him up, and you keep that a secret. That's like a good secret, helping a kid through his college. But uh, and I think what happens though is maybe schools need to crack down a little bit on those, um, on like the coaching staff, or like not crack down, but maybe keep more of an eye. I guess some deans or chancellors maybe graze over a few things that they see because those that sport might bring in a lot of revenue, but you know that's you gotta there's certain things you just need to like report or something like that, and there should be more of a crackdown not on like the teams, but the chancellor and stuff like that, saying, hey, if you see something, tell the NCAA. You're not going to get in trouble. They're that person who did whatever was wrong is going to get in trouble.
Is there anything more that you want to say about club sports or sports and college sports in general, or even Boston sports? I want to give you the floor, so anything you want to say.
Um, no, I just summarize that college sports are a lot of fun. It's a time where you have a lot of experience. You're going through a lot of experiences, and I just think that it'd be really cool if there was more of an opportunity for other kids besides just the ones to the low number of kids picked to play those college sports where had the ability to play sports.
Excellent. Well, Marco, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you, YouTube, for tuning into this Gossip Guru episode of What's Your Beef, and have a good one.